Hey there, it's Danielle Miller, and I want to welcome you to the Brand Beyond Compare webinar. I hope that you can hear me okay. Let me see here. I'm hoping that this is okay now, that you can hear me. I always forget to fix my microphone and do all that. The tech stuff always makes me so nervous when I do webinars. But if you could just put in the chat whether or not you could hear me, that would be awesome. And we're going to go ahead and get started here in just a moment. So if you can hear me all right, just let me know in the chat box. That would be fantastic. And then we can get moving on this webinar today. So can you hear me all right? All is well with my wonderful Yeti microphone that I have, that I'm still trying to figure out how it all works and make sure it's hooked up okay. Like I said, the tech part always makes me so nervous. I've done so many webinars now, but every time, that first few minutes before you actually go live, there's this moment of panic and oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. But it will be okay. We'll all get through this together, right? So, alrighty, I'm going to assume that you can hear me okay, and we're going to get started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you for the webinar, the presentation today. And let me just check one more time and make sure. All right, hope you're all doing well today on this Tuesday, getting ready to gear down here for the end of the year, or gear up depending upon how you look at it. So I'm super excited about this last 8 weeks of the year. Got some exciting things planned for 2016 that I can't wait to share with you. So, all right, let's go to screen sharing. All right, you are here today for the Brand Beyond Compare webinar. 5 mistakes you don't even know you're making with your brand. Oh, I already see a typo. Look at that. I hate when that happens. Okay, just ignore my grammatical mistake there. I know it's supposed to be apostrophe RE, but just as I'm human, right? So first things first, I want to welcome you to the webinar today. I'm so happy that you're here. I can't wait to share this information with you. I think you're going to learn some things today that you have not thought of in regards to your brand and how you show up beyond the typical things that we hear about brand and branding. So I want to show you around a little bit. You are on the Webinar Ninja platform. If you're not familiar with it, you can see there's a chat feature there. And I will always stay on as long as there are questions, so I can get those answered for you. So feel free to pop any of those in the chat box as we move through the webinar, and I'll circle back around and answer any of those questions at the end of the webinar. And as I said, I always stay on until all your questions get answered. So it's pretty straightforward how that all works. I think you can see there, it's pretty self-explanatory. And at the end of the webinar today, I also want to give you a thank you gift for spending some of your day with me. I know that your time is very valuable, and I appreciate that, and I never take that for granted. So I do want to thank you for coming on the webinar today live and spending some of your time with me. I know it's hard, but I would encourage you to minimize distractions during our time here together. Like I said, your time is valuable, and I want you to get the most out of today's training. As a former special education teacher, I know how hard it is to maintain focus when you're multitasking and trying to split your attention between several different things. So please be present, so that you can get as much as possible out of today's training and get your questions answered. You, your brand, and your business deserve that. Make sure that you have a pen and a nice notebook or Post-its or whatever you need to jot down notes. And I would encourage you to also listen with a beginner's mind. I think that's one of the biggest traps that we entrepreneurs fall into, is the idea that we already know this. So again, come to it with with new eyes, with a fresh perspective, and looking at these things from the perspective of your brand and your business. And I think you're going to get a lot out of today's training. So let me tell you a little bit about me before we get started. If you have not met me, if this is your first time on a webinar with me or your first interaction with me, I'm Danielle Miller, and I'm a brand specialist who has spent the last 5 years teaching and coaching amazing women entrepreneurs just like you on how to craft a brand that attracts what I call your good fit clients, those dream clients, those right people. It positions you as a leader in your area of expertise and generates more money in your business. That is my zone of genius. That is what I love to do every single day, and get to interact with service and creative entrepreneurs. I think you have such amazing and powerful messages to share, and I want to see you step up and do it in a way that feels natural and aligned with who you are and who you want to serve. On the personal side, as I mentioned before, I started my professional career in teaching. I was a special education teacher for 15 years. And the entrepreneurial bug hit me pretty hard. I wanted to get out of the classroom and connect globally with other women like myself who kind of were in that second act of life. You know, you had accomplished everything, have your family, and you kind of sit back and you go, okay, now what? What's next? And I had a lot of struggles with administration and the other things that go along with teaching besides teaching. And I really got interested in life coaching and thought that was really what my niche was going to be. I was going to be a life coach, and I was going to help people with goal setting because I had tons of experience around that. That's what I did as a special education teacher, was I helped students set goals. And I wrote goals and objectives and reverse engineered and backward chained all kinds of objectives and goals. And so that's what I really thought I was going to be doing. And what I ended up having was a rather expensive hobby. I was teaching and trying to get this life coaching business going, and really didn't learn what the solid foundation was that I needed to have in order to grow a business on my own. And so I struggled with that. And in 2008, 2009, I had gotten pretty sick, had some pretty significant health issues. And when I got through that, I really needed to make a decision on whether or not I wanted to make my business work. Did I want to have something? Was I cut out to be an entrepreneur? And I decided I was not quite done yet. So I got my career coaching certification and felt like that was really where I wanted to focus. Like, why do people do the work that they do? And how can they find fulfillment and satisfaction in their work, and help them figure out what was next in terms of their body of work? And it was from a certification course that I took with two mentors of mine, Pam Slim and Michelle Woodward, that I was really introduced to the concept of having a personal brand. And that was when this huge light bulb went off for me. And I decided that was really what I wanted to focus my business on, was branding and what it meant to brand yourself, and how you could incorporate all the parts of who you are into the work that you did. And that's what I've been doing since 2010. And I've had the opportunity to have so many incredible experiences since that time. You can see in the bottom here, I was a speaker at the National Association of Professional Women's Conference. I've got to meet amazing women like Martha Stewart and Arianna Huffington and Blake Lively, and Sarah Blakely, and just these really incredibly smart, ambitious women who know the mark that they want to make in the world and aren't afraid to do that. And then last year, I fulfilled a lifelong dream and got a book published. And so you can see there, Smarty Pants Branding, the ultimate guide for women entrepreneurs to getting recognized, being remembered, and making more money in their business. It was an Amazon best-selling book, which I'm super, super proud of. And it really is one of the accomplishments that I am most proud of in my life, as well as you can see there, my lovely family and my adorable grandson. And really working with women who have a message to share and want to do it in a way that feels natural and aligned with who they are. So that's a little snippet about who I am and the work that I do. So I want to get started right away into the webinar and tell you what you can expect today from this training. So today I'm going to talk to you about the difference between brand and branding. These are some of the things that I see happening over and over again with women entrepreneurs, particularly the service-based entrepreneurs, the creative entrepreneurs, the entrepreneurs that are in the online space and who are building these online businesses. And these aren't the typical mistakes that you often hear talked about with branding. These are things that go beyond taglines and logos and websites that I really want to dive into today. And one of the biggest ones is really this difference between brand and branding. And if you take nothing else away from this training today, getting clear on this is going to take you so far in your service-based business. I'm also going to talk about what's keeping your brand stuck. Some of these things that I see happening over and over again for women entrepreneurs. I'm going to talk about something that I call peekaboo visibility and how this can really, really affect your brand and your business and get you and keep you from getting to where you want to go. I'm also going to talk about the one thing that your brand must have, and chances are your brand does not, and it's not your fault. None of these things that I'm going to talk about today, it's not because you know about it and you're not doing it. It's more that you don't know what you don't know. And the final thing I want to talk about today is what will keep your clients coming back time after time again, for your services, what will have them referring people to you to work with you. And it's, again, the one thing that I don't see most service-based entrepreneurs and creative entrepreneurs doing. So these are the things that I really want to talk about today. I expect this training will take about 45 minutes-ish. I always like to add that ish in there. Sometimes I tend to go off on a little bit of a tangent. I get really fired up over some things, and you may get some bonus tips from me that are not, I hadn't planned on covering the training, but again, I kind of get going, and I want to share as much information with you as possible today. So one of the things I promise is that I will share as much content as I can in a time allowed without going over too much, and of course respecting your time and your energy. So what I'm sharing today comes from over 5+ years experience working with women entrepreneurs like yourself and my own journey in having a service-based business. I also promise to stay on the webinar as long as you have questions for me about your brand and branding. And I promise to share how you can take advantage of an opportunity to go deeper with your brand and your business. So why am I offering this training today? That's a great question. And it's one that I'm sure when you get on a webinar, you often wonder, well, why are they offering this? When you get a webinar with really great content. Over the years, I have seen, like I said, some of these things that happen in your entrepreneurial journey. And most of the time we think of a brand as a website and tagline and colors. And I see this makes me, what's the word? Nutty. This makes me nutty when I see more women agonizing over getting a logo and a tagline when they haven't really defined, what their brand really is. And I've seen, and I have been part of the struggle as a creative or service-based entrepreneur and figuring out how to craft a personal brand. Where are the boundaries between you and your business, and how can you find an equilibrium around that? And of course, to be totally transparent, I'm also going to tell you about my Beyond Compare brand experience coaching offer and how you can work with me further if my style resonates with you. So whether you decide to work with me or not, I want to give you as much information as I can, and I want to shift your perspective on how you think about your brand. This is so important to me. I want you to think differently about your brand at the end of this webinar. So let's start at the beginning. Let's start and really get down to the very basics here. And the first thing I want to talk about is, what is a brand exactly? And it is not your website. It is not your tagline. It is not your logo. It is not your colors. It is not your fonts. It is not your visual imagery. It is not your voice. Those are all parts of your brand. And I'm going to talk about that more in a few minutes. But what is the essence of a brand? Let me get a drink here real quick. I feel my voice fading out already. Excuse me. Okay, so a brand is a set of managed expectations around who you are and what you do. You have clearly defined that for yourself. And I know for so many of you, you're multifaceted and you have all these different things that you're interested in and that you want to bring to the table. But you've got to get really clear around who you are and the work that you do. It's also about your reputation, your credibility, and your story. Reputation and credibility is so crucial in the digital space today. And you've probably seen examples of that not happening. And I don't want that for you or your brand. So getting clear on the reputation that you want to have and building your credibility is crucial to your brand. So it's how you think of yourself. It's how you think of the work you do, and it's how others perceive that. How do you want them to perceive that? And really, it's about what is said when you're not around. What do you want people to say about you when you're not in the virtual room? What is the reputation that you want to have around yourself and your work and your business? That's really what a brand boils down to. And it's amazing how many entrepreneurs are not clear on this. They can't clearly articulate all of those things that I just described. And I am on a mission to change that. So now that we've defined what a brand is, we've in the minds of our ideal clients, what is that brand? Let's talk about the difference between brand and branding, because again, this is something that I find I do a lot of education around, because people use brand and branding interchangeably and they're not the same. Your brand is the inner work that you do. So it's some of those things that I just talked about, and how you get to those things when you talk about your reputation, your credibility, the work that you do, how you show up. It's clearly knowing your core values, those top 3 to 5 values that show up each and every day in your business, in your life, and in the work that you do. It's your why. And it's not just, we talk a lot about what your why is. And I really find for most of the women I work with, we have more than one why. We have a why that's a personal why. We do this work so that we can have a lifestyle that fits our values, our family, fits things that we want to do in our personal life. But we also have a why that motivates us around the work that we do. Why do we do this work? What is it about the work that motivates us? So you need to get really clear on that. It's also about defining your brand experience. So the brand experience is really the journey that you and your ideal client, your right people, your good fit people go on together. Starting at point A when they have that very first interaction with you, all the way to becoming a supremely satisfied client. What does that look like? How is that charted out? It's also about defining and keeping your brand promise. So a brand promise really is just simply the one thing that you know that you can deliver time and time again. Whether that is a special set of systems that you have, whether that is faster results than somebody else, whatever that is, how will you deliver on that over and over again? That's your brand promise. And when you keep that in front of you, it's so easy to have happy and satisfied clients because they're getting exactly what you've promised them. And then finally, it's about defining the feelings and emotions that you want to evoke in your right people. And what I mean by that is getting clear on how they feel before they work with you. Getting clear on how they feel when they work with you. And getting clear about how they will feel after working with you. This is all part of the inner work of your brand. All of these pieces work holistically together. So that's what your brand is. It's this inner work that you do. Now, branding is the manifestation of your brand. And I'm kind of a foodie, so you see I have pictures here. So if you think about your brand as the cupcake, the foundation, right? This is where the ingredients come together to build what is going to be, the meat of your brand or the cupcake. And then the branding part is how you decorate it. It's how it stands out in its own unique way. It's the manifestation of your brand. So it's things like that's where your tagline comes in. That's where your website comes in. That's where your colors and your fonts and the imagery and your brand voice, all those things come in. A logo, if it's appropriate to your brand. It's how you want your brand to show up on a daily basis. And when you understand that difference, when you get that, it makes things so much more clearer for you and how you show up. Because when you have that inner work done, then that can align with that outer work. So that's why this is so important. It's so critical to understand the difference between brand and branding. Now, one of the things that I said I wanted to talk about was these 5 mistakes. So the first one really is not understanding the difference between the concept of brand and branding. These next few things I kind of all clump together in one mistake that I see happening over and over again. And the first one is called what I call the emulation effect. So this is taking on someone else's vision and message as your own. This is emulating someone else. Now, that being said, we all have to start somewhere, right? We all have to start with what we think we want for our business. And typically that's looking at somebody that we admire that's doing exactly what we'd like to be doing or having what we want to be having. And we unconsciously take on that person's vision and message and we emulate them. And there's nothing wrong with that when you're starting out. Absolutely nothing wrong with that, about that. Because again, you have to start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. But there comes a time when your vision and your message must become your own. Emulating won't work. And that's the whole definition also of having a brand, is your brand is not like anybody else's. So this is what I call the emulation effect, of emulating somebody else, emulating the work that they do, emulating their brand. And you have seen it probably all over the internet like I have, right? Most women will get out of that. Some never do. And it's because they haven't learned how to define their brand for themselves, which makes me so sad. So the next piece of that follows right along with that emulation effect is compare and despair, right? You're continually looking at what others are doing and you're finding yourself lacking. This is what's keeping your brand stuck. And I have some things I'm going to talk about here in a few minutes on how to get out of that. But I see this time and time again. And it's happened to me as well. You know, when I first started out, I had a couple coaches that I really admired and wanted to emulate. And then, I would get online. I would get on Facebook or Twitter, and I would see what they were doing. And I would immediately put myself in a tailspin. Because there's no way that I could ever keep up with that. You know, I would despair over it. I would keep comparing myself to what they were offering, their community, how their brand was just so awesome and mine wasn't. And it is the fastest way to keep your brand stuck if you keep yourself in compare and despair. So the third piece then that I often see happening is what I call peekaboo visibility. And that's thinking that putting something out there once or twice is being visible. And again, every one of these things I have done myself. So I can absolutely relate to it and I understand it and I get it and I know why it happens, but it is keeping your brand stuck. This peekaboo visibility, there's this fear that happens when you start to want more for yourself and your business. And you put something out there in the world and you tweet about it once or twice, or you put a Facebook post in a group and that's it. And then you run away. And I don't see you again. It's peekaboo visibility. And the problem with that is there's no consistency. I'm not going to remember what you have to offer if I only see it once and I see somebody else offering something in the same field that you're in and they're posting it over and over again, or they're talking about it, or they're helping other people and they're being of service. So this peekaboo visibility is a huge way that your brand is staying stuck because you're not willing to put yourself out there. And part of that is because those core elements of your brand haven't been clearly defined. You haven't really done that inner work. And so when you put something out there in the world, you're unsure about it. And that keeps you hiding. And that keeps the right people from finding you. So peekaboo visibility I see happening all the time. And you also hear women talking about it. You know, I can't tell you how many times I have seen in the online space women saying, I really need to stop hiding. Or I've had conversations with women who that's what they talk about so often is this this fear of being seen. It's like hiding in plain sight. And it is one of the biggest ways that you're keeping your brand stuck. So let's get unstuck, right? How do we get unstuck? How do we stop these things of emulating someone, getting caught in the compare and despair syndrome and the visibility piece. So first thing you need to do is you need to get clear and decide what it is that you want. And this was a big one for me when I first started out with my coaching business, and it kept me stuck for a long time. I'll be quite honest with you. And what I found is here is what it really boils down to. What is more important to you? Your work or your ego? And you can call that fear of success. You can call that fear of rejection. You can call that fear of perfection, being a perfectionist, procrastinating on things you need to be doing. But at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're serving your ego. So you have to decide and commit to doing your work and knowing that your work is making a difference for your ideal clients. And this was a huge lesson for me to learn. I will be totally honest with you. And it's one it took me a long time to get over as well. Because I thought, well, I am putting myself out there, but I really was not. I was really doing what I call hiding in plain sight. So you have to commit to what you want to have happen. You have to declare it. And there's nothing wrong with doing that for yourself and your business and your brand. It's okay to want what you want. The next way that you can get unstuck is embracing your unique strengths and gifts. And here again, here's something that I see. There's this phenomenon that happens with accepting those gifts that you have. We tend to brush them, aside. It's no big deal. Everybody can do this. But the fact of the matter is, chances are you started your business because you believe you have a different way of doing the work that you do, right? You have a perspective that's unlike anybody else out there. You have experiences that are unique to you. You bring your special sauce to the table. And for some strange reason, it seems like as soon as we start a business, that goes away. We lose it. We lose sight of what we believed about ourselves and the difference we could make. The next thing to do is to step away from what I call business voyeurism, right? This is looking at what everybody else is doing, and finding yourself despairing and comparing. It's hard. It's hard when you are working on your business and you pop onto Facebook and you see somebody talking about how they just made $40K this past month. And you immediately put yourself in that lack mentality. And instead of it being able to inspire and motivate you, it compares and despairs you. So if you find that that's the mindset you have, step away from business voyeurism. Now, for some people, that's very motivating for them. One of my mentors, Angela Loria, she talks about the fact that she loves looking at what other people are doing, what they are achieving, because it inspires her to believe that she can achieve that for herself as well. So she loves that. For other women, all it does is put them in a spin cycle. So you need to decide what camp you're in. And if you find that when you're working on your business and you get on social media and you immediately put yourself into this place, into this funk about who you are and the work that you do, you need to stop. You need to start unsubscribing from blogs that, or just put you in that place. You need to stop watching what other people are doing, and find people that don't trigger that emotion for you. The next thing you need to do is create something. The fastest way to get unstuck is to get into motion. Action empowers and it motivates. The fastest way to get unstuck is to start moving. So create something, even if it's a blog post, even if it's a short video, even if it's, scheduling your social media posts for the week, whatever it is, create something, an infographic, a picture, whatever. Once you get yourself back into motion again, it is the quickest way to put those mistakes behind you. The mistakes of compare and despair, emulation, and peekaboo visibility. And finally, what you want to do is you want to identify those cheerleaders that you have, the people in your space who think you and your work are awesome, right? You have clients who think you're amazing, who think you're terrific and wonderful. Keep those people close to you. And you'll find that will motivate and inspire you and get you out of some of these things that I just talked about. I love this quote. Confidence doesn't come when you have all the answers. It comes when you're ready to face all the questions. So we're pretty good, I think, at deluding ourselves at times, right? At not being willing to face the things that we need to face in order to have our business and brand be what we want it to be. And when you're ready to face all those questions and answer them, it's a huge confidence builder, huge. Okay, so the one thing that your brand must have, and I find shockingly so many entrepreneurs don't have in their business, is the brand style brief. This is also known as a brand Bible, a brand style guide, a design guide, a creative brief, a signature style guide. It is something that every business should have. And the reason it's so important is because it clearly outlines who you are, how you show up in the work that you do. It encapsulates your vision. It encapsulates your mission and message. It encapsulates your brand essence, the core values of your brand, the strengths of your brand, what your clients get from you, what is an experience of working with you like. It defines your brand promise. It defines all of those things. It defines how that shows up then for you visually in terms of your palettes, of your topography, of your visual imagery. It defines your brand voice, the tone that you use, the language that you use. This is crucial to your business. And one of the reasons that it is so crucial is because typically most entrepreneurs are not all unto themselves. They're not an island unto themselves, right? You probably do not do everything yourself in your business. Maybe you do 90%, but maybe you have a VA who does some administrative work for you. Maybe you have hired a copywriter in the past who didn't quite capture your brand voice. Maybe you have hired a web designer who, when at the end of the day, when your website was done, you felt like it still wasn't really you. A brand style brief gives you the power to clearly define your brand. And so that anybody who works in your business knows exactly what that looks like. It defines your brand culture, whether you are a one woman show, or you have a team of 10 or 12 people. It doesn't matter. You need a brand style brief. And finally, the last mistake that I see happening is, how do you keep your right people coming back? How do you keep them coming back for more? And this is all about the brand experience. And this is really a clear, defined path for your right clients to go on a journey with you, because that's really what you're asking them to do in your business at the end of the day. They will, whether it's a short journey or whether it's a longer journey, whether it's a 45-minute strategy session or a year-long mastermind. They are going on a journey with you. You're leading them down a path. And it helps your right people know what to expect from you. So this is an alchemy board that I do with clients. And this is one from a woman who is a creator archetype. And, you know, her brand is very sunny and bright and vibrant and has lots of really vivid colors in it. And it's a fun brand, right? That's the vibe that she gives off. So you can really tell a lot just at this, from this mood board, about this person and her brand. And that's the experience. That's what you want to capture time and time again when you work with your right people. So they know what to expect from you. So they know who's a good fit for you when they refer other people to you. So the brand experience is so important. It's so critical when you get a potential client who lands on your website, they have a clear path to follow. What's the next step? Then what's the next step? Then what's the next step? So defining that brand experience, that journey that your clients go on, is crucial. And really what happens is when you start doing all these things with your brand, you have to be willing to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. There's a vulnerability that happens when you are consistently putting yourself out there in the world. Some things are going to work, some things are not. Some things are going to land with a thud, and some things are going to soar like you will not believe. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable. You know, I think part of the whole challenge with being a service-based entrepreneur and building an online business is the fact that you only see snippets of what other people are putting out there. And the truth of the matter is, crafting a brand and building a business is not easy. And that's something that took me a while to get to as well. It takes work, it takes commitment, it takes persistence, it takes consistency, it takes dedication, and it takes longer than you think it will. And everybody's journey is different. And again, when you start comparing yourself to somebody who's made 6 figures in, 9 months, and you're still at this, 3 years later, and you're still not making what you want to make, remember to give yourself a little bit of kindness around that. Your journey is different from theirs. But anything worthwhile does take effort, but it doesn't have to be a struggle. And I think that's the big difference there. So you have to be willing, when you start really branding yourself, you have to be willing to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So how can you brand beyond compare? And take your brand beyond the norm and get to the next level. So this is a very special one-on-one coaching program that I have put together. And I'm not going to tell you that working with me will solve all of your problems or that it's a magic pill. It's not. And honestly, the whole magic comes from you getting in alignment. I've seen it time and time again. And, the thing about it is, you could figure this branding thing out on your own eventually. because branding is an evolution. It's a journey that you go on, and you continually uncover layers of yourself in the work that you do. But when you work with a brand specialist, you get a level of clarity that you have never experienced before. And the thing that's so cool when you really get clear on your brand is it helps you make smarter and more strategic decisions in your business when you move forward. You'll know exactly what your business needs and what it doesn't, because you have taken the time to really craft your unique brand. And so an example of that is, when you work with a brand specialist like me, we work on specific language. We work on specific phrases. We work on how you show up, how your brand voice shows up. And so you may not need to ever hire a copywriter again because you'll have such clarity around your brand tone and voice. You might not ever need to take a course, a program around copy, because you'll have all of these things already because you've clearly defined your brand. But you may need to take a course around marketing, or maybe you want to invest that money with a business coach. So it frees you up to make such more strategic and wiser decisions in your business when you get clear on your brand. So Brand Beyond Compare is a 6-week one-on-one coaching package that I'm offering. And what it entails is 45-minute weekly calls, 45 minutes-ish. Maybe they'll be an hour. I don't know. There's structure, but then there's play within that structure. The one-on-one coaching package also offers unlimited email support. So you can email me every day, and I will get back to you, and I will give you feedback on whatever it is that you're working on. With the phone calls, maybe you need to talk to me twice in 1 week and not at all the next week. We can be flexible with that. The Beyond Compare one-on-one coaching program also gives you an in-depth archetype assessment, which identifies your unique archetypal blend and how to use it in your brand. It is the framework, it is the basis of the work that I do. Because I believe that when you tap into your leading archetype and your supporting archetypes, you are able to craft a more authentic, aligned, and resonant brand. It's amazing how much magic you can create when you know these things. You'll also get access to my templates and resource material. So anything that I see that we're working on together, maybe you need something else, maybe you need to listen to a module from my brand voice training course, or maybe you need help with crafting really resonant client feedback forms to get great testimonials. You get access to all that. Everything that I have ever created, you have access to. One of the most important things about this one-on-one coaching program is that you get a brand style brief that clearly captures your brand essence and everything else that I talked about before in the webinar. It is so vital to your business to have a brand style brief. You'll also get coaching around your branding challenges, because again, so much of branding is around mindset. It's around confidence. And it's around getting clarity. You'll also get identification, like I said before, of key language and phrases for your brand based on your archetype, based on your leading archetype. And that in itself, the brand style brief and identifying that key language is going to help your brand in remarkable ways. And we'll also work on a specific aspect of your brand that you may be having challenges with. This could be creating a new opt-in. This could be writing your about page. I love helping my clients write their about pages, because who wants to write about themselves, right? But I see the brilliance in you. And I love helping you write your about page. We'll look for brand gaps, right? So we'll look for misalignments in the inner brand work and the outer brand work. And I'm going to tell you an example of that in just a moment. Writing emails and communicating with your community. How do you do it in a way that feels really good? I can help you with that. And we'll look at your social media presence. How often are you showing up and sharing about what you do? And how do you do it in a way that feels really good and doesn't feel icky? So who is Brand Beyond Compare for? Who is this 6-week one-on-one coaching program for? Again, this is not a group program. This is one-on-one coaching with me. So you're not being put into, this is not group coaching. This is private one-on-one coaching with me. This is for creative service-based entrepreneurs. Typically, you are not just starting out. You have a good idea of what your business is, but you've never really done this deep brand work before. And you want to go beyond taglines and logos. And you realize really that your current brand, it doesn't really represent who you are and who you want to serve. It's not speaking to your ideal clients. And I hate to call this rebranding, because it's not. Rebranding is like, to me, doing things over. And we don't really do things over. We move forward, we evolve. And so I like to think of it as more of an evolution of your brand rather than a rebrand. And I see this happen over and over again. This is another thing that's keeping you stuck. Bonus tip, stop rebranding. I see this happening again and again where, particularly in Facebook groups, somebody will get on there, I'm rebranding. Tell me which logo you like the best. And they'll post 3 and they'll get like 75 responses. How can you possibly make a good decision based on that? If you are in doing that, please stop doing that. Don't do that anymore. It's not helpful to you. You don't even know it out of all those responses, who's your ideal client. So that I'll get off my soapbox. See, I told you I would go off on a tangent a little bit. It's also for entrepreneurs who are tired of hiding in plain sight, who feel like a best kept secret, who feel like, why is this person getting all of the clients that I would really love working with? It's for entrepreneurs who really want their brand to be uniquely theirs and not a take on somebody else's vision or message. You're done emulating. And you really believe that you are your business, that nobody else can do what you do. And you want to find ways to really market yourself and your business without feeling icky or slimy or using tactics that don't feel aligned. And this is another thing why getting clear on your brand is so important, because you can now choose marketing strategies that feel good. That was one of the things I struggled with so much when I was starting out, when I hired a business coach and there were certain things she wanted me to do, and I just balked and I resisted and I didn't want to do them. And it wasn't, well, I take that back. Part of it was, yes, a fear because I wasn't ready, but it was also because they didn't align with my core values. And it was before I had figured that out and defined those for myself. But once you do that, you can make really smart marketing decisions. So let me tell you a little about some people who have worked with me, who have gone through programs with me, a little bit of brand love here. So Amy Biondini says, Danielle has a unique take on branding. It's as much about you as it is about your business, and the insights you get are game-changing. Do it, you won't look back. I'm just finishing up with Danielle's program at the moment, and she has completely revolutionized how I think of my brand. Amy is knocking it out of the park right now. Here's a before and after of a client I worked with. This is ironically enough, another Amy. And Amy originally had this website that was very generic, didn't really express who she was at all. And after our work together, she had gone to a web designer with everything that we did, and she came out with this website that was amazing, that totally represented who she was, totally used the language that she used with her clients, and really resonated with them. And then there's this. Jen McRobbie said, when you work with Danielle, you get honesty, passion, and straightforward guidance. Danielle has helped me cut right through my confusion about branding. Without her guidance, I now have a clear direction, both for myself and my business pursuits. Thank you, Danielle, for sharing your brilliance with me and helping me access my own clarity and spark. Yeah, Jen's another one. She's the best-selling author of Why Is She Acting So Weird, which is a book about her journey through cancer, and it's amazing. And then this, brands are people first. Yes, yes, yes. I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a person. I'm a sister, daughter, wife, auntie, friend, employer, and I'm a person. You know, Lynn keeps coming back to I'm a person. So when I first caught a glimpse of Danielle over 2 years ago and her business building brand on my computer screen, I was instantly attracted to her as a person too. She is my business crush. Over the time I've known Danielle, it's become very clear that she's a person who cares about helping others clarify their purpose and unapologetically generate great incomes by being exactly who they are, the people behind their brands. If you're ready to get crystal clear on your identity as a human who desires to move your brand forward, get with Danielle. She will take good care of you and your brand. And that's true, I will take good care of you. And that's from Lynn Betty Johnson, founder of and CEO of People Forward. And finally, so remember I wanted to tell you a little bit about that alignment with your inner brand and the branding. Jill Angie is a perfect example of this. And I've worked with her on a very established brand that she had, one that her clients loved. But it was necessary for her, and this was an actual rebrand. We needed to move in a different direction. And she said, working with Danielle was an absolute pleasure. She's a calming presence in the face of stressed out energy, and she remains focused on getting you the outcome you need. Not only that, she does so efficiently with a sense of fun that can't help but get you excited about the next chapter of your business journey. It was fun and easy. I felt like you really understood what I was trying to do with my business and knew exactly where I wanted to go. You also didn't let me wallow in frustration having to rebrand, but helped me see it as an opportunity to level up. As a result of working together, I feel like my web copy is going to write itself now. So Jill rebranded to her business used to be Running with Curves, and now it's Not Your Average Runner. And she had the color palette that she had was pink, was sort of this fuchsia pink, which you can kind of see in her picture here. And what we found out when we did some of this work together is that she's a sovereign archetype, which is a ruler archetype. And having richer tones in her brand, a royal purple and silver, really captured the essence of her brand and the qualities of courage and purpose and decisiveness and everything that she embodied. And so she has gotten, and she rebranded, and it's been going spectacularly well. I'm so proud of her and so happy with how everything has turned out for her. So if you are ready to brand beyond compare, again, this is 6 weeks of one-on-one coaching with me and brand clarity like you have never had before. It is $19.97, and that again is for 6 weeks of one-on-one coaching with me, or 2 payments of $1,000. So that would be $1,000 when you sign up, and then $1,000 again in 30 days. And if this is something that you know you want in on, and again, I don't use false scarcity or any of that kind of stuff. That is not how I roll. But I am only taking 15 women because of the time and bandwidth that I have till the end of the year. And I want everyone to get through this by the first week of January so that you are ready to hit the ground running in 2016 with what you need to move your business forward with your brand. So if you are ready to do this, you can go to daniellemmiller.com/brand-beyond-compare /. And that there's no fancy sales page here, nothing big. It takes you right to the payment page. You'll get a little welcome video from me and telling what you need to do next. And once I see that you've made either paid in full or made your deposit, you'll be getting more information from me with an intake form and how we set up our first call. This is not any big sales launch. It's not. I'm offering it because I have been experimenting with the ways that I work with clients over the last 6 months. I've never done 6 weeks of coaching, so this is a new offering. And typically I do either a 1-day intensive or 3 months. And so this is something that I want to test out and try and see how this works and see if it's something that gets great results. Well, it will get great results. There's no question about that. But will it, in the 6-week time frame that we'll be doing it in, and if it's a better format. So that's really why I'm doing this and looking ahead to 2016 to see if this is going to be a core offer of mine or not. So that's it. That's the deal. $19.97 for 6 weeks of coaching with me. Everything that I talked about with regards to what you get. And I want to thank you. I'm going to pop out for Q&A. I did not forget. But I want to thank you for your time today and attention. It means a lot to me. I'm very appreciative when people take time out of their day to hang with me. And I hope that you got a lot of great value out of the webinar today. So as a thank you, I want to give you a brand checklist with some of the things that I talked about today to help you get clarity on your brand. So if you go here to daniellemiller.com/amplify-brand-checklist, that's a free gift for you. That was something that I offered when I taught my group coaching program over the summer, Amplify. And I want you to have that because it will help you get some clarity around next steps for your brand. So with that being said, let me pop out here and see. Oh no, you have sound? Snap. That could have been me with the volume. It's hard to say. Again, technology is not always my best friend. So I hope that you enjoyed today's webinar. I don't see any questions. Does anybody have any questions that they want to share, that they want to ask me about? Do you have any questions about your brand? Anything that I can give you some clarity on? Go ahead and type those in the chat box. And if not, then we're done for today. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Okay. All right, I'm back. Yay. So I hope you enjoyed today's webinar. I really enjoyed teaching it. It's one of my favorite things ever to teach. So let me just check the chat one more time. Okay, no questions? No questions? No questions, no questions. It always makes me nervous. No questions. Okay. Okay, guys, if there's no questions, again, I hope to see you on the inside. I would love to work with you on your brand. Again, you can go to daniellemiller.com/brand-beyond-compare, and you'll find it there. Hold on one second here. Yes, Alana, it will be recorded. A recording will go out. And actually, I'm going to do an encore of it again next week. I really enjoyed teaching this webinar a lot. So you'll get the replay for the webinar. And then I'm going to, like I said, again, I'm doing it live again. So if you have questions, if you watch the webinar today, and then you have questions and you want to jump on next week's webinar as well and get those questions answered, I'm happy to do that for you. I'm also happy to have you email me at daniellemiller.com if you have any questions about anything that I talked about today, questions about your brand, questions about the one-on-one coaching that I'm offering. No pressure. That's not my gig. Just to have a conversation. I'm happy to jump on the phone with you or on Skype and get your questions answered that way as well. So let me see here. So yes, the recording will be going out. If you missed it, you'll get an opportunity to do that. And I'll look forward to seeing you all again very soon. So, all right. Thank you everybody again for your time today. I appreciate it. I hope that you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. And again, catch up with me on social media. I'm at Danielle M. Miller all over the place. Any social media platform of your choice, you can find me there, and hit me up with any questions you have. I think that you and your brand and your business are going to have an awesome 2016. So, all right, take care, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.